We all know the SEC won't win this fight. And specifically, John Deaton was saying right now that because of everything they have been doing, like acting in bad faith, that the judge will realize that that is happening and most likely smack them down. Okay, that was a little bit over the top, but the idea here is that the judge is not, stupid. She sees a lot of whatever is going on here. And even the ones in the Binance and Coinbase lawsuits also will note and understand just how crazy the situation is. And how the SEC literally tried to hide things and not really properly work with the law. Anyway, we've got a ton of interesting things today. And I recommend you guys to press that like button to help out with the algorithm because, well, it's pretty crazy. And I think the best way to, go with the crazy is to crazy smash that like button. It is appreciated. Even if you, don't want to, maybe. Anyway, a little bit ago, Paul Grewal from Coinbase said, a few minutes ago, the SEC filed its response to the last week's Third Circuit. You can read it below for yourself and my initial read of it. They repeat the fallacy that they haven't made any decision. They refuse to commit to any deadline despite the court's explicit order, and they instead anticipate making a recommendation in 120 days. And most importantly, they ignore the clear statements of the chair that confirm they have no intent to issue new rules, and instead conflate the evidence of a decision those statements provide with an argument that the statements are themselves a decision. Ooh. And I present to you a picture of Pepper Balls on top of Gary Gensler. And it's also being said, at this point, Coinbase might as well relist XRP because, well, if the SEC doesn't play by the rules, why should you? And I'm thinking, we've seen in previous cases that the judge was like, hey, the SEC lacks faithful allegiance to the law and a couple of different parts in the Voyager and Grayscale cases. I believe right now as well, the judge is going to be seeing all the shady stuff that's happening. And most likely, I think, it'll actually be an aggregate of everything that's been happening in all these additional cases because the evidence is piling up. Another interesting point, Tom Emmer said this, right? Gary Gensler, whenever he tweeted, said there's nothing about the crypto securities markets that suggests they are deserving of less protection, yada, yada, yada. But the context people from Twitter said, it's important to note that the application of the how we test the crypto and digital assets is still a topic of debate with ongoing regulatory scrutiny. And Tom Emmer again came in to say, hey, regarding the community note, my bill, the Securities Clarity Act would resolve this debate. Again, I'm so much behind them in all this because it's about to be crazy. I have so much different types of news today, but I want to get it out as quickly as possible. But usually, guys, if you go through my likes over on Twitter, there's just crazy amounts of alpha in there because these are the things that I'm liking to quickly get in one little overview for my next video and also just things I like. So 50-50. Anyway, there's one little small piece, which is huge actually. Did you guys know that Atomic Wallet was hacked a while ago? Now, not directly hacked, but people's wallets were getting hacked. It's said that ZachXBT has a list of over $70 million worth of trouble, and Elliptic has over $100 million worth of trouble. Yet, Atomic Wallet still is not coming out to state that something really is astray, or at least what's going on. It just keeps getting bigger, but no updates at all, right? But it's just absolutely crazy that $100 million could be stolen, but they don't really say anything off of that. And it makes you wonder, what exactly was wrong, and will this happen to different other wallets then? At the same time, I cannot confirm this. Whale Chart says Jim Cramer advises investors to get out of crypto and Bitcoin. I checked everywhere for Jim Cramer, even though Gemini and everybody's being tagged or talking about it. Jim Cramer didn't say anything, at least on Twitter, potentially, however, on his show. But that could be another indicator that things are about to get bullish. And on that same nature, right now, crypto's not been doing too amazing, right? You guys all know it. But apparently the tokens mentioned to be securities have been doing way worse than Bitcoin and Ethereum right now, which is also quite interesting to follow. Then again, I never really trust Mr. Thicky Tot anymore because, well, he made up a fake little capital a while ago. I don't necessarily trust his pieces because of the way he tweets. Maybe I'm a little twastist. There was something else that was quite interesting. So JW said Binance and CZ have been selling spot Bitcoin at an alarming rate to defend the 220 BNB dollar liquidation waterfall. As spot Bitcoin is sold off, BNB is purchased, which defends the $220 liquidation, but it also caps the upside potential of Bitcoin. It's a total house of cards. And so a little bit later, Skew says he can't confirm it's true, like he has authority to say that. Interesting. Looks like Bitcoin is being sold off for USDT reserves. USDT reserves are being pumped into BNB aggressively since the 27th of May. BNB is being sold for BUSD to suppress volatility in Bitcoin, and then BUSD is pumped into Bitcoin to suppress downside volatility, so Bitcoin can be swapped out for USDT. Technically, market manipulation, just market manipulation every way, shape, or form. Binance is definitely up to something here to prevent BNB from crashing, as well as Bitcoin. Let me first of all state that could be pretty cool if they had that much power. CZ says Binance has not sold Bitcoin or BNB. We still even have a bag of FTT. Skew says, when proof, because this is kind of blatant. Can't just say for anymore. And my response to this is, Binance probably did not. It doesn't make sense for them to do so. If they were to, it would probably be another company that they've provided liquidity to, like a market-making firm or a major trade house, or I guess sort of clearing house of sorts, because it doesn't make sense for themselves to do that, as that will always be found out. So the only way in which this can be, worked in is if this is the same way at which it always happens, and it's because they provided money to people to trade and to keep prices a certain way. You guys have to understand, this happens, the price manipulation or price upkeep with almost anything out there in the world. The only thing is, the more money's inside, the harder it is to do. But in theory, everything is being manipulated because let's just say the market cap is $1 trillion. It's not that easy to manipulate now. However, if you come together with quite a lot of people, with quite some power, or for example, it's a company under BlackRock and they really have a certain way they want to do things, they can theoretically speaking make their announcements a certain way, make their news a certain way, because this is one big game, all right? This is not a small little game. This whole accusation is worth so many billions of dollars that you got to be really sure when you're saying that. And I don't think you can ask them for proof like this when you're just blatantly accusing them because the prices move a certain way. It's very hard to say whether or not Binance is selling, and I don't want to be on that ramp. And on that same nature, one thing we are seeing, and that one is obvious, is that so many countries are saying bye-bye to the US dollar. A good example here is Kenya. He's basically saying they want to stop the reliance on that, and they're clapping like crazy, which was wild. But once more, there's so much stuff to talk about. A little bit ago as well, John Dean said, people need to know that even if an SEC enforcement lawyer had written a Howey analysis on XRP, which is a little jab to what we see here. A couple hours ago, Cowboy Crypto came out to say, based on the above analysis and subject to the qualifications and assumptions set forth herein, we believe as of date that basically XRP does not satisfy all the Howey prongs and is by that definition not a security. Now, Eleanor Tourette from Fox came in to say that John Dean actually went over this last month and basically found out that it was most likely not a SEC lawyer that went over this. And he again says here, no, it's not written by SEC staff. The one written by SEC staff dated June 13, 2018 was ruled privileged and not turned over to Ripple. This was third party sending their analysis to the SEC. So that way we know it was not them. The point being here, we still need to understand that if an SEC enforcement lawyer had written a Howey analysis on XRP, included that XRP sales did not meet all the factors, the judge could still disagree and find that they do. So it's not like a set straight, so an SEC guy said it's not, so it isn't. No, the judge still has to decide because the SEC doesn't decide. Likewise, if an enforcement lawyer found that XRP was a security, the judge could still disagree and rule otherwise. Now, these memos, one SEC internal XRP memo, finding XRP was not a security or it's inconclusive, not made public, but read by the judge, and a third party's XRP memo sent to the SEC arguing XRP is not a security, could have some impact on the judge's decision on whether Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson were reckless in not knowing XRP was being offered as a security. If the SEC itself was struggling in 2018 to determine whether XRP was being offered and sold as a security, how could those two executives still be reckless in 2013, right? If the SEC couldn't know in 2018, how could these guys have known 5 years before that even? Like I've been saying, things are pretty crazy in our crypto space. Once more, CZ came onto Twitter to actually confirm. It's amazing they know exactly who sold based on just a price chart involving millions of traders, which is interesting. And two more things. First of all, Uniswap Labs released some draft code for an entirely new version of Uniswap, which is pretty huge. A lot of you guys are not noticing just how big Uniswap actually plays a role in all of this, so that's very big news. And also, Jacob Canfield said, I just got attacked, one of the most complex scams in crypto. I'll probably be going over this a little bit later because I don't know the full details. However, it has to do with 2FA. The thing is basically emails came from help@coinbase.com. They called him asking if he was traveling outside because they tried to change his 2FA. He actually got transferred to another, part of Coinbase basically, and he told them he didn't need assistance and that they'd probably, just lock his account down or whatever. He also changed the password already, and he told me that it wouldn't work to verify the account and that they would be locking it down for 7 days due to lack of verification unless he provides the code. Now, he then got angry and hung up the phone on me after I told him I wouldn't provide the code. After the first text, I immediately logged into Coinbase and changed my password into 2FA and caught on that it was a scam almost immediately. But I doubt 99% of the people would because everything just looks exactly real. Apparently, this is not new. If we look through the comments here, Zach XBT says, apparently Scott was also a recipient or target of this scam late last year. So this has been going around. But all I say is be careful. And whenever somebody calls you, it's a scam because they won't call you, And also, emails are sketchy. If anything sketchy is happening to one of your accounts, just log in traditional way. Don't open any links in emails. Don't click anything. Just log in and change everything. That's your best bet. And potentially, if you're very scared, move your money out as soon as possible after you change everything. Or another thing you could do is open up a withdrawal lock. Like there are, for example, you can turn whitelist on where there's a 24-hour whitelist time. So you cannot withdraw within 24 hours after adding an address. And then in the meantime, for example, after you see something has been added or anything like that, you can actually contact the support internally. Or actually, as a first thing, after you change all your details, you can just contact the support on the platform itself. Don't give them your password or anything, but you can at least see if something is wrong and if they have officially emailed you or for somebody else. Another thing that I posted over on Twitter, but I did not get to talk about in the video just quite yet, was this. We all got feelings about Hinman emails yesterday. But don't forget that Binance filed its brief today, and look what argument it raises. Number one, the Ripple, an investment contract, requires a contract, aka blue sky law defense. It's starting to spread. And the idea here is that Binance legal team just writing out freaking facts. That before it was really just Ripple fighting this battle, but right now it's starting to feel more and more like it's crypto versus the SEC. And I'm really loving that, right? I am really, really loving that. The point, however, being, and this is the most important part, times are changing, Everybody's talking about Hinman now. At first it was only XRP theorist. Right now, everybody is talking about Hinman. And I'm going to say once more, if you do not have that notification bell on, I recommend you guys to reconsider, because let's say something crazy happens. You want to be notified as soon as possible. So make sure you put that little notification thing on. What if the lawsuit settles right now? What if something crazy happens? You might not get the update until like 10 hours afterwards and things have already just propelled out of control. You want to be notified as soon as possible, and I think that's very important. Like I said, times are changing. Before it was only the XRP community, right now it's everybody fighting against the SEC, fighting for justice, and I'm loving it. And like I've said more times, we're still pretty far away from the truth. I am not going to be stating right now that we're very, very close to the end of everything. I think we might be close to the end of the Ripple lawsuit, but not close to the end of everything in the SEC's tenure. Because even this bill that's been proposed by the, let's just call it by the people, Davidson and Tom Emmer, even that would just take time. But this is most critical. We're getting closer. We're getting closer to a result. We're getting closer to the end, and we're getting closer to clarity, which I think is progress. And I'm just happy with it all. I'm just happy to also be able to inform you guys about all this. It's a crazy space, guys. Stay safe out there, and that's about it.